Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading has a very nice video about reading projects, and it's something I've been thinking about. I did my long rambling chit-chat whilst driving the other day, and actually the thing that was in my mind, which somehow I never got around to, was talking about this, Francis Parkman, History of the French and British in North America, France and England in North America. And I'm not very far with Volume 2. And it was part of a reading project with which I started out the year to read both volumes just by reading a little bit per day. And last year I had done something similar with Henry Adams's History of the Administrations of Jefferson and Madison in the United States. And so this was a bit more of a strenuous undertaking because the book is longer, but the writing style is really nice. My interest waned because initially he was talking about the initial incursions of white men into the continent, and so there was a lot of interplay with Native Americans, and that was all very interesting to learn about, albeit from a biased standpoint. But as it has worn on, it is becoming increasingly just the relationships or the interrelationships amongst the various sectors of white men themselves. And the Native Americans have been relegated to sort of an incidental backdrop. And so my interest has lessened a little bit, but I took time off to write a book and just have never gotten back to it. Now, I've been reading The Cider House Rules by John Irving, and my heart is really not in it. I'm realizing that my heart is really not in reading at all right now. But then you've got this whole idea of projects. Should I adhere to these goals that I set for myself? And I did a page count, and I think if I read, say, 35 to 40 pages per day on this, I can wrap this up at the end of the year. It won't be an easy task, but on the other hand, if I don't wrap this up at the end of the year, I'll probably never read it. And I like the idea of completion. I like the idea of accomplishment. So that is what I am thinking. I would be putting John Irving on the back burner if I really can knuckle down and get a lot of this done. Then I could throw him in at the end and finish up my year with that. But life has gotten busy. And whereas at least in the mornings I would usually devote myself to reading, try to get in a fair amount of reading first thing when I get up. Lately I've been going on Ice Watch, that is patrolling one of the schools in the neighborhood with my whistle. And it's only about a half hour that we commit ourselves to. But there's the preparation for it. It takes time getting to and fro. And so a good solid hour is lost. Plus, I'm thinking about it all the time. But with the colder weather coming, schools are off next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. Possibly I can just reorient my schedule to begin to make inroads into this. Another reading goal that I had was to do this series of books of Chinese archaeology, and then to follow that up with this set of history books. I've read the first 3, and there's 3 to go. I had hoped to finish that all this year. Now all of that is a wash. It's not going to happen. But I would like to start out January with a clean slate and resume those goals. And I had hoped actually this year also to read the Dream of Red Mansions. It never happened. So I feel myself moving away from reading, but so you know, as I say, I just don't feel like reading at all. But if I don't strike while the iron is hot and nail this one now, it will never happen. So it's definitely what I'm thinking of. I just am rethinking these books have these little ribbon bookmarks, and the cat is here, very intrigued by that. Well, you're not gonna see the cat, but that's how it is with Library of America editions. I mean, I have plenty of other things that I would like to be reading. This great. Hi there. I would really like to read that. I think I have something else about the Second World War around here. Oh, it's propping up the book. I mean, propping up the camera. Something about Ramble. Let's see. I told you I read, I was going to do a play about Ramble years ago. Malta, the thorn in Rommel's side. So I have plenty of things that I would like to read, and I would really like to, aside from the carryover from this year, I would like to formulate some plans for next year with a view to thinking that, well, I may be abandoning reading largely as I have done, that is to say, with an intensive effort for what will be 4 years, hopefully 5 years. So with a view to thinking, well, these might be the last books I get to read with this kind of intensity. I mean, the thing about reading projects is then you feel committed, and then it feels like work a little bit. And so there's the dichotomy, I guess. You don't want to not accomplish anything or finish anything, but you don't want to be entering into a book as though it were an odious chore. So that is how I'm thinking. It will be a real hard effort for me to do this, but if I can put everything else to the back burner in my life as well, then maybe I can do this and at least have that out of the way when the new year starts. That is really what I would like to do. As I say, if I could really bump it up, then I would put John Irving in at the tail end, and that would be my closing book for the year. I've got about halfway to go with it, but I'm just not picking up books these days. We attended a very lovely concert of Mozart's Requiem at Chicago Symphony Orchestra. It was really, oh, well, let me see if I have it here. Yeah, I do have it here. Really remarkable how it was done. So the first half of the program was this, Beethoven and Haydn. Very, real, it was a rousing concert, I have to say. But then look what they did for the second half after the intermission. So Mozart's Requiem, but it was kind of interspersed with other things into a program, Gregorian chants. And it was really nice. And I'd never heard Mozart's Requiem done by the CSO, I'm pretty sure. I've heard it. It was one of the first things back when I was young. I tried to study opera, and my teacher said, you have to join a chorus. And so I did. And I think the first concert that I ever sang was a combined requiem of the Fauré Requiem and the Duruflé Requiem. And those have retained their place in my heart as probably my favorite requiems. But Mozart's Requiem is indisputable, and we did that in the chorus as well. So I sang it, and that was when I came to the realization, oh, if only I could live in a world of pure sound. Well, it was the pure sound of Mozart. That would have been wonderful. And I felt something of that again last night, which I haven't felt. And I've heard the Requiem a number of times. I think I've heard it by Music of the Baroque. And one time we went to the Spoleto Festival in South Carolina, and there was a double bill on the program. It was some kind of a crazy double bill, like Orff, maybe, and the second part was to be Mozart's Requiem, and the first part was just canceled. And so they just did the Requiem, which is not a long piece, and we felt sort of gypped a little bit, but it was I think, a fine presentation. And I don't listen to music anymore, but the Requiem is something that I would listen to occasionally. I mean, of course, all of those early Requiems inspired me in the writing of my book, The Requiem. And I thought, just watching this stuff last night, it was a perfect ensemble. Maybe I'll try to put up some pictures of the end. This blend of the four voices was just sublime. I mean, back in the day when we were doing concerts, of course, you would be lucky if of the four voices, two of them were just really good, and then there would but it was hard back then. I think there's a lot more real strong talent out now, but of course I was never singing at that level. I mean, I was in a community chorus. But even now, if you go to something in a community chorus, the level of the soloist is going to be higher than it was 25 years ago or whatever it was. But I have all kinds of CDs. At one point I went a little nuts and bought CDs, and I just never, ever, ever listened to that stuff. I only intake music through live performance, which is how I like to do it. But I thought, I've been talking about, gee, it would be nice to do Tai Chi. That's a time commitment. You have to go. There's a commute involved, and then it was one of the happiest times of my life when I was hanging out at the Tai Chi Dao Center. Don't like this little white on my shirt. Hanging out at the Tai Chi Dao Center, being very social, interacting with folks, really making sort of communal progress in the art. It was really a wonderful time. But so too, I realized last night, so too was the time I spent in the community chorus, and it would be nice to go back and maybe do some of that. But again, you're talking about a time commitment. But both of those have positive attributes which do not come from reading a book such as this. But this book, it talks about the French and the English in North America, and I'm talking about both volumes. It is almost exclusively the French, and it's almost exclusively talking about the Canadian portion. But it's really what I want to learn. Now this, he may surprise me with this, but I don't think so. And I keep thinking that I'm further along than what my bookmark indicates. But so that is just sort of an addendum to my long, rambly video. I'm hoping, again, next year to keep my focus on the books, but I may decide to introduce other activities into my palette, I guess. I'm not going to do Tai Chi videos or that kind of thing, trust me. But we'll see where things take us. What with all this politics happening, I would really like to get my focus off of that. Anyhow, I will leave off there. Thank you for stopping by my channel.